Thornbridge Manor. The Carlyle family's home for countless generations. The Revenant Alexa Carlyle and her 3 adult children, younger brother Zachary, grandson and daughter-in-law, are all gathered to conduct Carlyle's sham funeral. Curiously, Carlyle summoned a famous London PI soon after arriving this morning, but his purpose at Thornbridge is yet unclear. Now, the target knows that you're coming, and her guard detail is top-notch. So Mr. Gray will secure their nearby field HQ and intercept all calls going in and out of the estate. Any appeal for backup is going to fall on very deaf ears. Good luck, gentlemen.
Hi, I'm Jimmy, and this is a Let's Play series of the Hitman World of Assassination trilogy. I will be playing through all of the story missions on Master difficulty with the default start locations and loadout. And this is Dartmoor. Here we are confronting the last of the Providence partners. And yeah, this is a very fun map. It's interesting. I like it a lot, even though like it has a couple of features that I usually don't like. One is, you know, the whole map is a trespassing zone if you're in your normal suit. So there's no place where you can blend in just with your regular suit. The other thing is it only has one target, so it's, you know, usually I like levels with more targets, and, you know, as I've said before, I really didn't like Colorado because it, yeah, the whole map was hostile to you, basically. But this one works, and it works. I like it mainly because I really enjoy the gimmick of this map. The gimmick is that they've hired a private investigator to investigate, and there is an apparent suicide in the building. But our target, Alexa Carlyle, suspects murder.
That is Phineas Whitmer, the famous private investigator hired by Madame Carlyle this morning. I'm curious why he's here. Maybe you should do some detecting yourself, 47.
Mr. Whitmer, thank God you're here. Can I take you to Madame Carlyle?
Please do.
If you'd follow me.
So yeah, I'm gonna lure the private detective away.
I know I oughtn't say anything, but I'm so relieved you're here.
I'm timing the distraction so the detective
preparing for Madame's funeral and then she turns up alive.
I laid the coin trail for him earlier, so we should follow that and go deep
My
into the
boyfriend
gardens.
has a restraining order. I think it might be him. Could you go see if it's him?
So there he goes to investigate the sound, but now he sees the first coin. Okay, he's going to see all the coins and follow them, and I'll be able to knock him out.
Thumbs up, mate.
So yeah, by knocking out the private investigator and taking his disguise, you can basically solve a murder mystery. And this level does a good job of sort of showing off kind of what other kinds of stories and gameplay you can do with these mechanics. Because here we have basically a classic Agatha Christie style murder mystery, complete with an English country manner. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that makes this a better level than Colorado is this disguise is just a great disguise. Even if you're not doing the mystery, like if you can knock this guy out and take his disguise, you can explore the entire first 2 levels of the mansion and the whole grounds, and there are 0 enforcers. So you can explore most of the map, and yeah, no one can see through your disguise. So it's very easy. It makes this level,
by the way,
makes it more of a relaxed experience when you're in this disguise.
What did she say? Well, I thought she'd be mad at me, but she just thanked me.
It's nice. It just gives you an opportunity to solve the murder mystery. And that's what I'm going to do, actually. In this Let's Play, I'm going to investigate, and I'm going to find all the clues.
And that stuff from your ex was like manipulation 101.
Looking at this, you can see how to find all the clues.
She was going to read into them and freak
solve
out.
the mystery.
Say I must have done something to provoke her. Shit.
I'll be talking over Diana a bit in this level, just because when you're solving the mystery, she sort of talks over, like she is constantly talking to you to explain what the clues you found actually mean. Which is feels a little hand-holdy, but I get why they do that.
Thank you.
So here we're going to meet with Alexa.
Mr. Whitmer, thank you for coming on such short notice. A great tragedy has fallen upon us, and I need a quick resolution. handled with absolute discretion.
Results and discretion are my speciality.
Very well. I suppose you will want to start at the crime scene.
In my experience, a thorough examination of a potential crime scene is half the job done.
Good. Fernsby will take over from here.
I am Mr. Fernsby, the butler. Madam Carlyle has asked me to assist you in any way possible. Mr. Whitmer, I understand that you've traveled from London. Would you care for some refreshments? Or do you prefer to go straight to Mr. Zachary's sleeping quarters?
I prefer to get started.
As you wish. If you'll follow me, sir.
So yeah, this has some more of the great Hitman-style dialogue where, you know, all of the lines are sort of hinting at the fact that you're an assassin.
I feel obliged to point out that current affairs surrounding Madame Carlyle are of a delicate nature. You may be familiar with the recent announcement of her death. You will probably learn that a staged funeral is scheduled to take place tomorrow. Madame's children were not informed until this morning that their mother was in fact not dead at all. So please bear with them if they seem affected by the rather unusual situation. I trust I do not need to remind you that there will be consequences if word gets out that Madame Carlyle is still alive.
I'll consider her dead when I leave.
That's a great line. I'll consider her dead when I leave. It's just perfect.
Before you inspect the crime scene, I will tell you this. The case concerns the death of Mr. Zachary, Madame Carlyle's younger brother. He was found dead in his bed this morning. The door was locked from the inside, and a suicide letter was found in his room. However, Madame Carlyle suspects foul play and will not accept that he took his own life. I've prepared some information for you, so please do come and see me when you've finished your investigation of the crime scene. This is Mr. Zachary's room, to my right.
A locked room murder mystery, 47. I trust you'll get to the bottom of this.
So yeah, classic.
Why don't you use your camera
parent
to
suicide, locked room mystery.
scan the dead body, 47?
Here. Diana's explaining that we need to use the camera.
Throat markings indicate
Some clues you can find with the camera, some clues
poison killed him.
find by picking up.
Spread shows
Using
time
your
of death at around 10 o'clock last night.
You do know your poisons, 47.
So yeah, we find out that he's poisoned. That is a plant-based poison.
Zachary was shopping for New Wellingtons last night. Not exactly what you would expect from someone suicidal.
A hidden door.
It's a secret passage. This could explain how the door was locked from the inside. A photocopy of the floor plans. Somebody's been researching the secret ins and outs of Thornbridge Manor.
So yeah, it looks like the killer knew about the secret passages and was using them to get access to Mr. Fernsby, assuming there was a killer. We still haven't ruled out suicide, although it seems unlikely. I think I was trying to figure out where the last clue was. The game tells you when you found all clues, which is helpful.
Zachary's suicide note. Also, a sample of handwriting. It could be relevant to compare to other samples to establish its authenticity. I believe you've done a thorough search of the crime scene, 47. Maybe it's time to see the butler. I'm curious about the information he's prepared for you.
So yeah, we've investigated the room. We know that it's a suicide or parent suicide. We know time of death. We know how he was poisoned. So now we're just, and we have a means by which the killer could have gotten access to Zachary's room. So now we're going to talk to the butler.
Mr. Fernsby, I'm done with the crime scene.
Did you establish a time of death?
Zachary died around 10 o'clock last night.
Well, that means the staff were off duty. And Madame Carlyle and her security didn't arrive until this morning. That leaves Madame's family and myself as the only persons here when he died. And before you ask, no, I do not have an alibi. I was alone in my office at the time of death. Here's the material that I've prepared for you. It's a list of the possible suspects and their quarters. Hopefully that will help you keep track of your findings. Please come and see me when you've solved the case, and I will take you to Madame Carlyle.
Mr. Fernsby?
Mr. Whitmer, you have enough evidence to present your case for Madame Carlyle?
No, not yet.
Come and see me when you do.
So how does one solve a murder mystery, 47? Motive, means, and opportunity, I believe. May I suggest you ask the suspects for alibis? Or perhaps you prefer searching the manor for clues first?
So yeah, you basically investigate the mystery by a combination of...
That is the door to Mr. Fernsby's office.
Yeah, searching the manor, searching the rooms of all the suspects, and also questioning suspects and asking them about their alibis and asking them questions, so... Anyway, I'm going to head back inside and pick up the pistol. I dropped the pistol earlier to get through the frisk zone. I wanted to go in through the front door, just so nothing would seem irregular about how I arrived. I don't think it really matters. You can avoid the front door and sneak in, jump in through the window, and then meet Madame Carlyle, and it works. I like to play the part a little bit when I'm playing this game. So now I'm running around. Yeah, I'm looking for people to talk to. I'm going to talk to all of her children and the one
Professor
grandson.
Edward Carlyle, can you tell me your whereabouts for last night?
Oh, yes, this dreadful business with Zachary. I stay at the local inn. You see, I prefer not to spend the night here at Thornbridge Manor. My brother Gregory came along for a nightcap. He'll never admit it, but I think he understands that I find this whole thing upsetting and wanted to provide some comfort. I believe we went to the Stag's Head around 8:30. Anything else I can do to help?
Can you tell me about Zachary's behavior last night?
I certainly didn't expect him to commit suicide. Sure, he was upset by Mother's supposed death. We all were. But he seemed more engaged than usual. You should ask Rebecca. They had a long talk. Did you know that he hadn't left Thornbridge Manor in nearly 50 years? His plants, Mother, and the staff are all the company he had. If that's all, I have a speech to write.
Did you notice anything else out of the ordinary?
You mean apart from the fact that we came here to bury our mother and she shows up alive and kicking? Zachary found dead in his bed this morning? Or perhaps that the planned funeral is still taking place and I have to do the eulogy? And Mother will surely have a strong opinion on it afterwards. I can't breathe. Excuse me.
So he has an alibi that he was at the inn with one of the other sons.
Stop pacing, for God's sake, Emma.
Look, why don't we get any kind of explanation? It's bloody rude, that's what it is. Making us...
Oh, one thing I forgot to mention about the sort of overall story, at the beginning of Hitman 3, but right before the Dubai mission, we also find out that the Constant, also known as Arthur Edwards, escaped. We had abducted him at the end of Isle of Scale, and in between Hitman 2 and Hitman 3 he escaped.
How the hell did that happen?
He's on the loose.
No, we all signed it.
Trying to find an opportunity,
I
but
gave it to him
everyone's
in person.
busy talking on the phone or talking
He
to each other.
says he got it notarized the very same day. Right, listen. You go to their office and ask for Cheryl. She's the best they've got. Tell her you want to see the records. Don't take no for an answer. And call me as soon as you've got them. Thanks, Phil. We'll get to the bottom of this.
Rebecca Carlyle, can you tell me about yesterday evening?
We don't really see much of each other, my brothers and I. I suppose it takes our mother's funeral to bring us together, and even then, it's not like we sit on each other's laps. Now, let's see. Patrick, Gregory's son, disappeared straight after dinner. You know, I think he might be in some sort of trouble. Edward wanted to go as well, but Gregory convinced him to stay for a few drinks before they went off for a pint at the local at 9:15. I swear Gregory enjoys Edward's discomfort over staying here. I had a conference call with my New York office at 9, so I spent 3 hours on my laptop in my room and went straight to bed afterwards. I don't know about Emma. She did act a bit strange. You know, I bet she was making lists for changes needing to be done once she gets her hands on Thornbridge Manor. Quite the shock she had when Mother arrived during breakfast. Is that everything, Mr. Whitmer? I do have a lot to see.
Tell me about Zachary. Did he act strange last night?
You know, now you mention it, he was a lot more chatty than usual. He wanted to know about my connections in the publishing business. Apparently, a friend of his is writing a book, which strikes me as very peculiar. I didn't think he had any friends.
Anything else you feel like mentioning?
I may be wrong, but I saw Mr. Fernsby, the butler, leave Zachary's room early this afternoon. And he seemed a bit startled when he saw me in the hallway. It's probably nothing. Oh, and one more thing. Please be kind to Edward. He can only take so much. Is there anything else you want to ask me?
So they would talk to Rebecca.
Fitzpatrick's
talk
open
to
the Madame
Edward.
Carlisle's door.
Rebecca? Yes. She's insistent, that one. She kept asking all kinds of questions. Who had the other one? Why I gave it to her, that sort of thing. You did make sure she didn't see you give the other one to the butler?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, Rebecca and the butler have 2 keys, so that's another way to complete the case file objective, is if you knock both of them out and steal the keys they have, you can gain access that way. Otherwise, you can get it from the safe upstairs.
Very well, Mr. Fernsby.
Make sure you focus on your work.
I will.
I don't need one more maid crying in the kitchen. So watch yourself
Patrick
around here,
Carlisle.
Mr. Patrick.
Don't
Can
worry
you tell
about
me where you were yesterday evening?
Shit, it's that sneaky butler, isn't it? He ratted me out. Elaine, give us some privacy, would you? Don't tell Mother, okay? She's really tense these days, and the last thing I need is more hassle. I took that pretty blonde, Rosie, for an evening stroll. I mean, how the fuck am I expected to cope for an entire weekend in this shithole? I'm bored out of my mind. If that's all, I think I'll get back to my slow death by boredom.
What did you think of Zachary?
Piece of work.
Creepy as hell. No ambition. Imagine deciding to live in a museum. You know, Father says Zachary and Alexei used to be 2 of a kind. He had a great future ahead of him. Then suddenly, he just gave up everything. What an idiot. Thank God Daddy chose looks and brains over pedigree when he married Mummy. I don't have to worry about the inbreeding so customary in these circles. So, is that it?
Make a
Did
note
you
of that
see
line for
anything
later.
suspicious last night?
No. I reckon Zachary topped himself. I know I would have. Or perhaps Mr. Fernsby. I don't like him. He could have done it.
I think we've had 2 people now implying
Looking
maybe the
good,
butler
man.
could have done it.
Looking good.
Gregory Carlisle, can you tell me where you were yesterday evening?
Oh, you're wondering about my alibi, Mr. Detective. Well, I left Thornbridge around 8:30 for a pint with Edward. I wish I hadn't. Quiz night at the inn. On the other hand, staying here with Zachary, my obnoxious sister, and the wife sporting another one of her headaches would have been a fate worse than death. The short of it, Zachary was very much alive when we left. I stayed for the last shout, and I was back here just before midnight. Is that all? Not very thorough, huh?
Tell me about Zachary.
Zach? Huh. Such a sad old sod. A bit heavy on the bottle, but who could blame him? Only company he had was his rare plants and Mother, who travels more than she stays here. Honestly, I can't say which is the bigger bore. He's better off dead. Anything else you want to pry from my intricate...
Anything else you'd like to tell me?
Nothing, really. I'm just enjoying the show. Our perfect mother obviously fucked up, didn't she? Faking her own death. You know, she's explained nothing to us. I think she's scared to own up to her own mistake.
Getting more of a look into the dysfunctional family. We've talked to Greg, now we're going to talk
Emma
to his wife,
Carlisle,
Emma.
can you tell me where you were yesterday evening?
Surely I'm not a suspect.
I need to account for everyone.
Well, I spent the evening with my family, but I got an awful migraine and had to take to bed. Everyone can attest to that. I believe I went up when the boys sat down for a drink around 8 o'clock. Anything else you want to know?
How did you feel about Zachary?
I might as well be honest. His presence was always awkward. But how do you have a meaningful conversation with a man who only cares about plants? In my opinion, Alexa bears some responsibility for how this ended. She supported his self-limiting behavior by letting him live here. Is that all?
Have you noticed anything else out of the ordinary?
Nothing special comes to mind. Except, perhaps, I did get a feeling that Zachary was depressed, not just sad. I suppose he realized that he had no one with Alexa gone. Even Alexa must feel the pangs of guilt over that one, letting him believe she was dead. Then again, guilt isn't her strong suit.
I think that's the last of the suspects that we need to talk to. I think there's just one more person we need to talk to, and that's we need to talk to the maid to corroborate Patrick's alibi. Patrick is Gregory and Emma's son, the grandson. So.
Such a gentleman. He gave me his coat and all.
Rosie, you need to forget about Patrick. No good's gonna come of it. Stick to your own kind.
You mean like Chris? He treated me like shit. All he wanted to do was play his stupid video games, never any romance. I deserve romance.
Ah,
Rosie,
hi there.
tell me what you did last night.
I'm in trouble, aren't I? I spent the evening with Patrick. We met after dinner and I went home at 1 in the morning. He said he needed someone real to talk to. When he looks at you, it makes you feel like the center of the universe. Like a real princess.
But now he just ignores her.
Well, he's under a lot of pressure.
He's an idiot. That's what he is.
Did you notice anything out of the ordinary? Any strangers outside the house?
No, we saw no one outside. Except Patrick's mother, Emma. We were sitting on the bench behind the greenhouse talking when she came out and we had to hide. You won't tell her about me and Patrick, will you? She'd insist Madame Carlyle fire me. I'm sure of it.
Too right she will. She's always going on about how things will change once she's in charge of Thornbridge Manor.
So there, we get Patrick's alibi confirmed, and we also get the hint that Emma was outside last night. Which sort of goes against her story about being inside with a headache. It's also the second comment we've heard about Emma already sort of planning her takeover of Thornbridge Manor. You know, she assumed, well, didn't know about, thought Alexa Carlyle was dead. And then when Zachary died, probably assumed that Gregory was, her and Gregory were going to inherit the manor.
Bad news, I'm afraid. We don't have any extra fuses.
So I'm just exploring around the level. So yeah, this is just a fun little mystery to solve. But there are other approaches you can take this mission, like a normal Hitman level. There are other things, other ways. You can obviously just shoot her, but you can also set up an electrocution kill here. There's an opportunity where you set up a family photograph and you set up an electrocution kill for Alexa. You can also get plans ready for the funeral, and you can push her into the open grave that she prepared for herself, which is wonderfully ironic. So yeah, I'm looking to get into the greenhouse. I'm just trying to find an opportunity. Got a crowbar so I can break in the locked door. Just need to get some distance between me and the guard. He goes to investigate, but I'm allowed in.
Broken lab equipment. It looks like it was recently used, though.
This is a table showing lethal dosages for the poison used to kill Zachary.
Something is circled 47. Female, age 65 to 79, 60 to 64 kilograms. I'd say Madame Carlyle is next in line for a poisoning.
So it looks like someone used this device to make the poison, and they were looking up dosages, and they highlighted the heightened weight of Alexa Carlyle. So it seems like whoever killed Zachary is planning to kill Alexa next. So yeah, you can actually repair that and use it. You can use it to make lethal poison out of the plants you find. If you just pick the flowers, they're an emetic poison. But if you use that machine, you can distill lethal poison from them. Which is a useful tip. But that's also another big clue. We've got an idea of how the murder might have taken place. The weapon. Break into Fernsby's office.
Painkillers. Lethal if you use enough of them.
But not the poison used to kill Zachary. Of course, Madame Carlyle doesn't know that. Are you considering to frame the butler, 47? Zachary's diary. This is big. He was about to confess to the world that he and Alexa murdered their older brother, Montgomery 46 years ago. And apparently, Mr. Fernsby helped make the murder look like an accident. Mr. Fernsby clearly didn't commit the murder, but I think you have enough evidence to convince Madame Carlyle he did. And 47, the handwriting doesn't match the suicide letter in his room, proving he didn't write it himself. Maybe you should tell him you are ready to present your findings. That is the door to Rebecca's room.
So, yeah.
Unless, of course, you want to do some more detecting, 47?
The nice thing about this mystery is, like, you can present several different theories based on the amount of evidence you have. So you don't have to tell Alexa the correct solution. You can tailor any of your theories. And one of those is you can frame the butler. Just, mention that it was poison, mention that the butler keeps on hand medication that could be poisonous, and yeah, you can tell a story to convince Alexa that the butler
I can see from the log
Zachary
that Rebecca was in a
cover up
conference call from 9 p.m. to
crime
midnight
they both
last
committed.
night.
By the way, I mean the crime that Alexa and Zachary committed together, where they conspired to murder their older brother Montgomery. Here, I've discovered another secret passage. So found everything in Rebecca's room.
Asset transfers from the Carlyle account.
Yeah, this room is
HTC
trespassing
depot
for
number
even this
508.
disguise. That's there's an accountant going over Alexa's financials. And if you investigate that, you can find out that someone has sort of started taking control of a lot of Alexa's assets, and it seems as though someone is making a bid to take control of Providence.
Listen, Gregory. Something off.
That's one thing that's interesting about Hitman 3. I was sort of assuming at the end of Hitman 2 that all of Hitman 3
That
would be
door
about
leads to Emma and Gregory's room.
taking apart Providence. But, yeah, we sort of go after the partners in the first two missions. We take out all the Providence partners. But then, the story shifts after that. So it's interesting where the story goes for Hitman.
Now this is interesting, 47. A letter from Emma's mother stating that Emma is the illegitimate child of Alexa's late older brother, Montgomery. And listen to this. She claims to have witnessed Alexa and Zachary murder him. The plot thickens. A keychain pendant for the greenhouse. What's that doing in Emma and Gregory's room, I wonder? And why is the key missing? You have uncovered enough evidence to tell Madame Carlyle that Emma is the murderer. Quite the detective, 47. I'm impressed.
So there, we've
I
stumbled
suggest
onto
you
the
go
truth.
tell Mr. Fernsby. Unless you think there are more secrets to uncover.
That Emma is actually the illegitimate child of Montgomery, the older brother, whom Alexa and Zachary killed. So, remember before when Patrick was commenting about, oh, I'm glad, my, daddy married someone for her looks and brain, and I'm not part of this inbred English high society. The irony being that actually, he doesn't know it, but his parents are cousins, and his mother deceived his father into marrying him so that she could have her revenge on the Carlyle family and take rightful possession of the estate, which she feels she was robbed of when her father was murdered. So now we have enough evidence to present the truth, but there's one more place we can investigate, and one more clue to find.
An old letter, 47. Never opened. Must have slid under the secret door nearly 46 years ago. It states that Alexa Carlyle's older brother, Montgomery, wanted Alexa to become the heir to the Carlyle Empire instead of himself. Interesting. You're an excellent detective, 47. Uncovering truths half a century old. If you frame it correctly, I believe you could use the information to convince Madame Carlyle that Zachary committed suicide. Maybe you should ask Mr. Fernsby to see her.
So there, now we've gotten all the clues, and we've got all three theories that we can present. And I'm going to save here. This is, if you're playing this mission, this is, I think, a good way to do it. This way you can save and see what happens when you present all three theories to Madame Carlyle.
I'm ready to present my conclusion to Madame Carlyle.
Very well. If you'll follow me, sir.
But yeah, this is, I don't know, it's a very different sort of game, this mission. It's very un-Hitman-like in a lot of ways, where you're solving a murder mystery instead of causing one, I guess. But I had a lot of fun with it. And I think in general, this map is kind of fun. I think the other sort of advantage it has over a map like Colorado is even without this disguise, like even if you don't use this disguise, like there's the staff disguise and the mansion guard disguise that have access to all three floors of the house and the entire grounds. So, like, the other problem Colorado had, besides the fact that it was full of soldiers and the whole area was trespassing, was just the fact that there were like 3 different areas that each required a specific disguise, whereas this only has the top floor, which requires one of 2 disguises. And those 2 disguises can go anywhere else in the level. Except for possibly the room downstairs. The room downstairs, I think only the guards are allowed in. But if you have a guard disguise, you're basically allowed anywhere on the level.
Not that I'm aware.
This is Madame Carlyle's office. Please step inside.
So, Mr. Whitmer, you've reached a conclusion. Take a seat. Please, go ahead.
Your brother committed suicide.
I need to see some evidence to believe that, Mr. Whitmer.
Zachary was found dead in a room locked from the inside. He died from a rare poisonous plant he cultivated himself. He believed you were dead, and a suicide note explained that he did not have the courage to go on without you.
That's what I don't buy. I cared for him deeply, but the truth is he hated my guts. My death would not make him commit suicide, I can promise you that.
Perhaps the death of your older brother, Montgomery, then. I have found evidence showing that you and Zachary killed him nearly 50 years ago. I believe that was when Zachary turned recluse. Your brother recently uncovered proof that your past deeds were for nothing. A letter from Montgomery stating that he wanted you, Madame Carlyle, to take over from your father instead of himself, as you were better suited to the job. Everything would have turned out the way you wanted. without anyone dying. What broke Zachary once, now destroyed him.
And you saw this letter?
I did.
Oh, Zachary. How royally I fucked up. Mr. Whitmer, I'm sorry, I just need to gather my thoughts. Right. The payment for your services, have you decided on an amount?
Arthur Edwards. You have a file on him.
Arthur Edwards. How do you... I see.
And with that, we've basically given away our identity.
Well played. For many, many years, I feared what I'd see when I finally met death. And now you sit before me, and I feel only peace. You see, I believe life is a fair fight, and I lost spectacularly in every way imaginable. It is time for me to leave the pit. Oh, before I get to that, your reward. The file you want is in the safe.
So they're just going to go ahead and open the
A
safe
last
for us.
wish from a dying woman.
Take the case file.
Get Edwards and make him suffer. So long.
How are you,
I
sir?
need some privacy. Thank you.
So now we have the case file.
Good work, 47. That's the file on Arthur Edwards secured. Time to take care of Madame Carlyle.
And there.
Mission
Target
complete.
took care of herself.
Well done, 47.
So if you solve the murder mystery, it actually gives you a couple opportunities to basically set up a proxy kill. The other thing you can do is you can fix the machine that makes poison, and you can accuse the butler. If you accuse the butler, she won't suspect Emma. She'll try to sweep the whole thing under the rug, and then Emma will poison her a little while later. You have to wait a while for Emma to poison the drink and for Alexa to drink it. But so yeah, this is the end of Dartmoor, and yeah, very simple. I mean, there are a lot of steps involved, but a very simple silent assassin. No real challenge to it, just a matter of investigating and finding the clues. The hardest part is just
47.
knocking out
They're everywhere.
investigator.
Go, get out! It's the Constantine. Shit!
Now we see what Arthur Edwards is up to, and in the next mission, we will follow up on that. So yeah, I'm staying and just confirm that I got Silent Assassin. So yeah, there we are. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.